the most beautiful day.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning back in this evening. With that, we're going to start our reporting for this evening for May the 3rd, Tuesday, May the 3rd of 2022, on the ongoing crisis, the ongoing war that is taking place in Ukraine. Got quite a busy past 12 hours, unfortunately, in Ukraine. We're going to be going over all of the main headlines first this evening. We'll also be taking a look, of course, at our community aggregated reporting over on the Situation Room, located on our Discord server. The community's been hard at work all day, aggregating a lot of reporting and a lot of the intel, what's coming out of Ukraine, out of this conflict, which is continuing to ramp up in the east, in the Donbass, as well as many other areas. At this hour, the battle for Mariopol is also in full swing. We've had reports from both sides, from Russia and Ukraine. Again, I'll touch on this when we go through our main headlines in a little bit. But again, very busy evening here of reporting that we are bringing to you. Again, unfortunately, I wish it could be under better circumstances. But again, we're going to get everybody filled in on what's going on the ground in Ukraine. I'd like to say hello to everybody tuning in this evening. I see we got a lot of familiar faces tuning back in to the stream, as well as a few new people as well. Annette, hello to you. Pocket Frog, nice to see you. Not Pocky, thank you so much for tuning back in. Anna Maria, thank you so much for tuning back in today. Miss Fishy, nice to see you back. Emperor, nice to see you here. Julia, Astrid, Bruno, Michelle Kilpatrick, thank you so much for tuning back in. Jack MC, Smuggies, Red-Blooded American. How's everybody doing this evening? I'm really grateful to see so many familiar faces tuning back into the stream here tonight. Too Tall, thank you so much for tuning back in and helping in the moderator department over there. Tango Down, thank you so much for tuning back in and helping in the moderator department. Fancy Hat, I'm pretty sure you're probably there somewhere. Thank you so much for helping moderate the live chats this evening as well. Rolly Pulsey says, "Hey Nemico, Slava Ukraine, Slava to you, Rolly Pulsey. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening to the stream, to the reports. Suze for Keeps, thank you so much for tuning back in. LD429, thank you so much for tuning back in to the stream this evening. Bo Alders, thank you so much for tuning back in. Again, awesome to see so many familiar faces tuning back in here and giving the shout outs here in the live chat. Again, just getting going here. Our reports usually don't start officially till 8 p.m. We're going to get the ball rolling a few minutes early here tonight. Again, there's a lot of reporting to get through. I'm hoping we will have time to get through all of it. Again, tonight's agenda is first we're going to go through, as usual, our main headlines. And then we're going to switch on over to our Situation Room. We're going to look through that community aggregated reporting. And then before we hop into our open source map, our main map, which we've been using, again, is liveuamap.com. That's ukraine.liveuamap.com for the latest Ukraine events. The map that you can see behind my head here on screen. Again, you can find a link to that in the description below. We will be, again, using that map, but before we hop into that, tonight we're going to be taking kind of a deep dive. I wouldn't necessarily call it a deep dive. We'll be going kind of in depth on some of the aircraft activity that's been happening. We'll be taking a look at some of the community aggregated reporting that's been happening in our aircraft radar tracking channels for not just aircraft, but for naval movements as well. We'll also be taking a look at those naval movements in and around the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov, see if we can gain any insights there from how they've kind of shifted around some of the commercial traffic as of lately. and also kind of take a look at some of the reports, from the Black Sea, from the Sea of Azov there, of some kind of the military movements that have occurred over recent days and weeks here. We'll also be taking a look at maybe some of the cyber analysis, and if we have time as well. But then again, after doing that, we'll be hopping into our live UA map to go through all of the individual reports from the last about 12 to 24 hours to get everybody caught up on the specifics of what has been occurring on the ground in Ukraine. Again, thank you to everybody that is tuning in tonight. I see there's quite a few people tuning back into the stream. And again, quite a few new faces as well. Hello to everybody. Again, guys, if you could, smash that like button. Best way to get the algorithm's attention. And then, if you can, right after that, sound off from what country you're tuning in from. Sound off, from what country, what state you're tuning in from. If you're from here in the U.S. What are fuel prices? I'm also pretty interested. What are fuel prices looking like around you guys right now? I know we kind of did some community polling on this over the past month or two. It does look like some of those oil markets are, still kind of fluctuating in some areas. I'd be interested to see what those prices are like. Again, we'll probably be running some official polls in the coming days on some of this stuff here. Kenders says USA. Florida, thank you so much, Kenders, for tuning in tonight. Exploring with the Zuinos, thank you so much for tuning back in. Says USA, Seattle, Washington. I bet it's beautiful out there in Seattle, Washington today. Kenders, I actually, back to you, I believe it's probably pretty good looking down in Florida today. Probably nice and warm down there, I would imagine. And Natalia, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Tiger Eye 912 says Louisiana, but it's nice and warm down there. Lee says he's tuning in from Chicago. Smuggy says he's tuning in from Vermont, USA. Bet it's beautiful there in Vermont this time of year. Not Pocky says Southeast Michigan. Awesome. I bet it's a little chilly in Southeast Michigan. Rolly Pulsey says Denmark. Very cool, very cool. Awesome to see that we have some individuals tuning in from the beautiful country of Denmark this evening. I'm honored to have you on board here. Jack MC says Liverpool, United Kingdom. That's awesome, Jack. Awesome to hear that you're tuning in from the beautiful United Kingdom tonight from Liverpool. Lori says USA, Wisconsin. That's awesome, Lori. Thank you for tuning back in, Lori. You've been here for quite a while. Again, whenever somebody says that they're from Wisconsin, I say, doesn't everybody have a relative or a friend that lives in Wisconsin? Pocket Frog, Pennsylvania, $4.39 a gallon in Pennsylvania today. Interesting. So I feel like those prices have come down. Barbara says Texas, $3.69 a gallon. Jay Gregg says $3.79 where he is. Jimmy ZNJ says howdy from New Jersey, $4.30 per gallon. Yeah, I feel like overall these prices have come down a little bit. Deborah says, thank you for having us, Nemico. Well, thank you for tuning in, Deborah. Much appreciated. Thank you to everybody that is tuning in tonight. Again, we're going to get everybody filled in here on what's been going on in and around this ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Rocket Rugus says $3.79 where he's tuning in from. Interesting. Just a normal YouTuber says, hey, we can't hear you on Discord. Can you try changing it? I actually don't. I'm currently not feeding the audio into Discord tonight. However, I have been looking at a way that I could easily do that for these nightly reports. When I do that, though, I'll probably be doing that in a different channel. But don't worry, for everybody over there on Discord, I haven't forgot about you. We do still have the video coming through. If you want that audio, though, you will have to tune in, unfortunately, to the YouTube or Twitch. But I will be changing that in the future. We'll be implementing the audio into the stream. I'm kind of getting it set up to where we can just always have the Nemico stream running in the video channels. So a lot of people have requested that, and I'd also like to have the audio as part of that. So again, I'll be looking into that. A. Charles says Phoenix, Arizona. He's tuning in from $4.80 a barrel. LD429 says $5.99 for diesel in PA. I believe that's what is that? Philadelphia. $5.99 for diesel. What is it for regular where you're at, LD429? And that says she's tuning in from Maine, USA. Gas is $4.29. So these prices are still pretty high. Itchy the Killer says California. $5.25 a gallon. That's pretty high. Anna Maria says Ohio on the Michigan border. Emperor Kamada says Nemico Network, any info on a dark side Phil? He said he was going to visit Ukraine and drop off food and water. Yeah, I don't have any updates at all on that at this time. Kate says she's tuning in from the Netherlands. Pretty cool to hear both that Kate is tuning back in and that you're tuning in from the Netherlands. Mother Saki says Arizona $4.65 to $5.99 a gallon. Oof. For Oregon, just a normal YouTuber says for Oregon it's $4.69 a gallon. Interesting. So yeah, I mean, I feel like those prices are still pretty high, but I definitely feel like they've come down since the first few weeks of the war. There in that initial, you know, that initial kind of panic that ensued there in the first few weeks to a month of the war, and now that those kind of gas reserves have been kind of called up and are in full force now, that now that they're starting to diversify away from Russian fuel, some of that fear has lessened, I think, and that has brought prices down. Red-blooded American says, I've been here since your first or second live stream. I was gone for a while, but now I'm back for good. Well, thank you so much, Red-Blooded American, for tuning back in. I'm glad to hear that you're back. Glad to have you here. Again, it's always good to have a red-blooded American tuning in to the live stream. Curtis Cardwell says $4.89 a gallon here in southwest Gallatin Valley of southwest Montana. I bet it's beautiful out there in Montana, but those gas prices, not so hot. I can tell you that. Pretty high still. $4.85 in Chicago, says Lee as well. Suze for Keep says, hi, Australia here, $6.40 a gallon. I wonder what the conversion on that is to US, to USD. Is that USD converted, or? DE9393A says, hello, Nemico Network from Stockholm, Sweden. That's awesome. Awesome to hear we have some Swedes tuning in tonight on the stream. Glad to have you, DE9393A. Your name is a mouthful, though. All right, guys. With that, again, I'd like to thank everybody that is tuning in this evening. Fancy Hat, there he is, at $4.36 a gallon, where he's tuning in from. Again, Fancy Hat, thank you so much for tuning in tonight and helping in the moderator department there over on the live chats, as well to all of my other mods that are putting in the the good work tonight. Again, hello to everybody this evening. With that, we are going to start tonight's reports. Again, for May 3rd of 2022. Start a little bit early there so we could kind of say hello to everybody this evening. Again, what we'll be doing now is we'll be kind of going through our main headlines for this evening. A lot has happened over the past 12 hours in Ukraine. Again, just over the course of today, Russia has unfortunately decided to strike many targets in both central and western Ukraine. That's the big headline this evening. I would say the other two are that the battle in the east in the Donbass is continuing to ramp up. More violence is occurring there. More territory being incrementally taken by the Russians. There are some areas where the Russians are taking territory and then backing out, allowing the Ukrainians to take back that territory. I would say the other third big topic for this evening is that this battle for the Mariopol steel works there, the Avastal steel works there, is very much underway at this hour as I'm bringing you guys this report. We're getting reports from both sides, from the Russians and the Ukrainians, that there is conflict occurring there. I'll have a little bit more on that in just a moment. Again, main headlines this evening: a new barrage of Russian missile attacks occurred across Ukraine, including targets in the western city of Lviv. Again, local authorities said rockets hit electrical substations, damaging the city's electrical grid and disrupting the water supply. Russia's Interfax news agency quoted the military as saying the Russian artillery hit more than 400 Ukrainian targets over the past day. Again, Russia has threatened multiple times over the past week or two that they are going to be looking to attack some of these targets in Kiev, in Lviv, where these weapon shipments are coming in to the country. Not just that, but the command and control centers as well. So that's what we're starting to see now, with not only these strikes that have occurred in Kiev over the past week or two here, but also in Lviv. Russian forces attacked the besieged steel plant in the bombed-out Ukrainian port city of Mariopol. Again, Russian news agency RIA Novosti, again, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, said this was a response to Ukrainian forces inside the plant breaking an earlier ceasefire to get into firing positions. Dozens of civilians previously evacuated from the Avestal plant have reached Ukrainian-controlled Zaporizhia Oblast, but many more are believed to be sheltering inside. Again, United Nations a humanitarian official said about 30 people evacuated from the plant chose to stay in Mariupol, in the city there. Now, there was further evacuations planned for today, for Tuesday. However, we're still waiting to get more information on if those occurred and if they were successful or not. Again, we'll have more information coming up when we go into depth on both Mariupol and those strikes in that city of Lviv. So stay tuned. Okay, Hungary and Slovakia now pushing back against a potential phase-in on the ban of Russian oil in Europe. Again, citing their dependence on such imports. It would definitely impact their economy there. European leaders have been meeting in Brussels to hash out new sanctions against Russian energy. This could include a full oil embargo through Hungary and Slovakia. Uh, However, they might receive exemptions. However, okay, again, I have to add here, Poland, Poland, the gas flow has been shut off. I believe it's Bulgaria as well. Also, the Russian fuel shut off to both of those countries Wednesday. Again, they're also looking to 100% cut off, totally ban all Russian oil in Europe now. Hungary and Slovakia, again, pushing back, citing the dependence they have on those fuel imports from Russia. Pope Francis said he offered to travel to Moscow to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin in a bid to help stop the war. He said he made the offer in the first month of the Ukraine invasion, again, which began February 24th, but has not heard back. Francis said NATO's barking at Russia's door perhaps led the Kremlin to react badly and unleash the conflict. Again, those are the direct quotes from the Pope himself. Again, those words, I believe, were made earlier today. Russia has so far skirted the risk of economic default. Again, Russia's dollar payments on two bonds appear to be going through after the country tapped its domestic reserves of the U.S. currency. Again, this comes as their markets have been absolutely decimated since the beginning of this war. Again, arguably due directly to those sanctions that have been implemented by both the United States and many Western countries. The Biden administration said the WNBA superstar Brittany Griner is being wrongfully detained by the Russian government, a shift in language that indicates the U.S. will likely work more aggressively to secure her release. The State Department hadn't gone so far in its previous statements about Griner, who was arrested at an airport outside Moscow in February after authorities there reportedly found vape cartridges containing hashish oil in her luggage. Again, that is an ongoing story. We hope to have more updates for you guys on that story in the coming days. Again, due to new Ukrainian intelligence, okay, this comes directly from Kiev's main Directorate of Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense, again, which said Tuesday it believes September is Moscow's intended deadline, that Russia may be looking to conclude its war in Ukraine within 4 months' time, according to Kiev's main, again, the Directorate of Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense. A quote from that report: "There is information among the occupiers' military that the so-called special military operation is set to conclude around September of 2022. Again, in that statement from from the Directorate of the Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense. Against that is a mouthful there. That's that main intelligence bureau for the Ukrainian military. Again, there's also speculation here that May 9th, coming up here in 6 days, could be a date. However, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to secure a victory by then. It could be a date in which they, again, and I talked about this on last night's report, it could be a date in which Russia is looking to capitalize on in order to, again, it's their victory day there. They could be looking to fully mobilize the Russian people. They could use that date as kind of a propaganda tool to do so. Again, Ukraine's defense ministry said Tuesday that Mariupol continues to be pummeled by Russian forces and claimed it is carrying out a big, quote, big cleaning to rid the city of the masses of casualties. Again, we saw footage on some of those independent, and I'm going to go more into depth on the situation in Mariupol, but I thought this was interesting. These reports also came from uh, the defense ministry officials in the same report. Again, we saw that footage from those independent news sources like Patrick Lancaster of the bodies on the streets of Mariupol, very similar to what we saw, very similar to the scenes that we saw in Bucha. And I've made warnings a few times on the show in the past week or two here, that we may see more images like that coming out of Mariupol in the coming days. There has been some evidence here, though, that those Russian forces are looking to, again, clean what they're calling a big cleaning to rid the city of those mass casualties. That means civilians and military personnel as well. So we could see, again, more of those mass graves that we've seen in areas like around Kiev. Again, we're going to have to wait and keep an eye on this situation closely as it develops. Again, we very well might see more of those photos, more of that imagery coming out of Mariupol in the coming days. Again, expanding on my report from earlier, Russia and Ukraine, as of this past few hours here, are both reporting fighting around the Avastal plant in Mariupol. This has actually been going on all day. Video from the besieged Ukrainian city of Mariupol shows thick columns of smoke rising from the area of the Avastal steel plant. This was from earlier. Again, we have some footage of that on our live UA map that I believe we'll be able to show you here coming up shortly. Again, that is amid sounds of heavy artillery and explosions happening in that area. Russian forces are launching fresh attacks on the ruined complex, according to official accounts from both sides, both Russians and Ukrainians. All night long, the plant was hit by artillery, naval artillery, and aircraft. Two civilian women in one of the bunkers were killed as a result of a massive airstrike. Again, a commander in the National Guard told Ukrainian television from the Avastal site there in Mariupol. The Azov Regiment posted images of the bodies of two women inside the complex. Quote from that report saying, "Since the morning, the enemy has been trying to assault the Avastal plant with significant forces using armored vehicles. Our soldiers bravely repel all attacks." Again, I hope to have a few more updates on that and maybe some footage when we hop over into both our Situation Room and on our live UA map there as well. The UK Prime Minister, as of this evening, has unveiled new military aid to Ukraine. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson announces 300 million euros, that's 376 million US dollars in new military aid to Ukraine, telling the Ukrainian parliament that the country will, quote, will win against Russia. According to a transcript provided by Johnson's office, he said, quote, "We in the UK will do whatever we can to hold Russia to account for these war crimes. And in this moment of uncertainty, of continuing fear and doubt, I have one message for you today. Ukraine will win," and, quote, "Ukraine will be free." Again, those words from Boris Johnson there from the United Kingdom. Again, another report here from earlier today. Putin signs a decree on retaliatory sanctions against the West. Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a decree announcing retaliatory economic measures in response to the, quote, unfriendly actions of foreign states and international organizations on Tuesday, that was earlier today. Again, according to the document published on the official government's website, Putin's decree prohibits making transactions and fulfilling obligations to foreign individuals and legal entities that have fallen under the sanctions, such as trading and or export products and the resources, without specifying which individuals or entities may be affected by the measures. Again, quote from that report: Russian state authorities, organizations, and individuals are prohibited, quote, to make transactions, including conclude foreign trade contracts with legal entities, including and organizations under their control, in respect of which special economic measures are applied to perform before persons under sanctions, obligations, a whole bunch of other legal wording there. Again, really, they're trying to retaliate to a lot of these U.S. sanctions, basically cutting off all financial connection to the West, to the U.S. Primarily there from this last round of sanctions. Again, according to the decree, these are the necessary measures to protect Russia's national interests, quote, in connection with the unfriendly actions of the United States of America and foreign states and international organizations that have joined them. Again, these are the direct words from these releases here from the Russian government. Again, which contradict international law and are aimed at illegally restricting or depriving the Russian Federation, citizens of the Russian Federation, and or Russian legal entities of the right to property. Again, the decree said it is in effect until the economic measures are canceled. So again, this is just a direct retaliation from Russia for the U.S. sanctions, for the sanctions from European countries, from the sanctions from primarily here the United States. And again, that is the wording coming direct from the Kremlin. Another report from earlier today: at least 9 people killed in shelling and airstrikes as this battle heats up across the Donbass, specifically in the Donetsk region. The regional military administration in Donetsk said 9 people have been killed by artillery barrages and airstrikes carried out by Russian forces in the past about 24 hours here. Again, at least 3 people have been killed and 2 wounded and 8 houses damaged, he said. Again, in a report from earlier today, I would say a drastic increase in the rhetoric here, Russia accuses Israel of, quote, supporting neo-Nazi regime in Kiev, repeating false claim about Ukraine's government. Again, this has been a part. I had this in last night's report as well. This has been kind of a continuing pattern here between Russia, between the Kremlin and Israel, and their their exchange here of rhetoric back and forth. Again, we're going to have to keep a close eye on that situation as it develops. However, that rhetoric definitely is ramping up there between Israel and Russia. So I think that concludes our primary headlines for tonight. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump into our Situation Room, and we're going to take a look at the community aggregated reporting that has been brought to us from all of our members over on the Discord server. That's discord.gg/Nemico. You can find a link to that in the description below. So we're going to take a look at all of the community aggregated reporting from this evening. First, however, I'm going to transfer over here into our big screen so that we can see a little bit easier. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Again, really quickly, I would like just to thank everybody that is tuning in to the report this evening. Welcome to everybody. I see there's a lot of familiar faces tuning in to the report tonight, and there is a lot of new people as well tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Best way to get notifications when new streams or new videos go live. A lot of new video content coming down the pipeline for you guys. I'm really excited for that. Also, if you haven't already, hit that like button. It's the best way to get the algorithm's attention. Again, thank you to everybody that is tuning in this evening. Epi, I see you there in chat. Awesome to have our Scotsman tuning back into the stream this evening. We always are appreciative of you, Epi, and your presence. All right, ladies and gentlemen, first post here comes from Kayuka, longtime contributor on the not just on the Situation Room, but across the Discord community, across our Nemico Hive community that we have built on the Discord for a long while now, has been providing to the reporting here. Thank you so much for this post that Kayuka sends over about another command post in the Kherson region that has been hit. This comes from Twitter, from Nexta directly. All right, this report here from Nexta says the armed forces of Ukraine destroyed the command post of the Russian armed forces on the administrative border of the Mykolaiv and Kherson regions. Reports the operational command south, again for Ukraine there. Now, keep in mind here, I've been talking about all this all week. The fact that Mykolaiv is going to come under heavy fire from the Russians as they look to take that southern coast here. In fact, I could show you on the live UA map what's going on. All right, live UA map is needing to be refreshed, so I'm going to refresh it first here. All right, we're just going to open up a new instance of Ukraine's live UA map because it seems to be having an issue. All right, here we go. So if we zoom in here to the southern coast of Ukraine, you'll notice a few things. Okay, first of all, okay, you'll notice that the Russian forces are continuing to move westbound. Right, they have been on a very slow grind. Okay, I should add, very slow grind with mixed results of progress here in certain areas. They have been moving westbound. Okay, they've taken the region in and around Kherson. The city of Kherson has been taken for some time. Of course, they've been looking to instate their own referendum vote there, their own city council. They tried to instate there as well. Okay, Mykolaiv here, next target. Okay, before they get to Odessa, Mykolaiv is their big challenge. The Ukrainian forces that are implanted in this region here are their big challenge. It's the only thing really stopping those Russian forces from steamrolling across to Odessa here is just how dug in the Ukrainians are in and around Mykolaiv. Where my mouse cursor here is basically where the front line is, where all of those Ukrainian forces are dug in and around that region. If these Russian forces, just really quickly here, you'll notice two other things, okay? You notice, A, there are still a lot of strikes happening in this region here, over here, okay? You even have a Russian presence down here, near those islands. Now, thirdly, you'll notice, what do we have here? We have that breakaway region of Moldova, okay? The Transnistrian region, all right? If they're going to link up with these forces here, forces here in Transnistria, in order to possibly launch an offensive on Odessa, they're definitely going to need to take Mykolaiv, okay? A few other things are going to have to go well for them, but primarily they're going to have to get past those Ukrainian forces here in Mykolaiv. If this does happen in Odessa, though, I think it's going to be very similar to what we see happening in Mariopol, where the city is surrounded and, again, slowly under siege for a month or two. I don't think the Ukrainians want to see another Mariupol situation happen, so they're going to defend Odessa very heavily, and they're going to do everything they can to stop those Russian forces from linking up with any Russian elements that might be near Transnistria here. Okay, and one way they do that right off the bat is Mykolaiv. They hold Mykolaiv. They hold this region here. Okay, if they hold this region on the map, those Russian forces can't proceed westbound. Okay, to Odessa. Right. One would argue that if they do manage to break past those defenses in Mykolaiv and they move over to Odessa here, and then if the Transnistrian breakaway element there gets involved, we will also most likely see an amphibious assault launched from the Russian naval fleet, which again has been pretty severely impacted as of late. There's been multiple vessels that have been struck by the Ukrainian military, including that main cruiser, the Moskva, which was struck by that Ukrainian Neptune missile. Again, so as you notice here, all right, those Russian forces are heavily fighting here to move westbound, okay? In the same way they're fighting here in the east and up here by Kharkiv and still down here by Mariupol. This, I would say, is the Western Front right now for the Russians. This is the most Western front here. Is Mykolaiv as they move westbound to maybe, possibly meet up with that breakaway element there in Moldova. Okay. Again, thank you to Kayuka for posting this in the Situation Room. Another post that just came in from Kayuka. This is fresh. More loud explosions heard in Belgorod. This is on Russian territory. Again, let me get this. I'm gonna get this audio going for you guys so you can hear this. You can hear those loud explosions there in Belgorod. Again, this is coming from OSINT Defender on Twitter, unverified source, guys, so do take it with a grain of salt. However, this is a fresh report just coming in. More loud bangs in Belgorod. Again, we're going to have to keep a close eye on that. Thank you, Kayuka, for sending that over. Our next post comes from Phoenix on the Situation Room. Thank you so much for sending this over, Phoenix. It's a post from the Telegraph here. It says, airline stolen by Putin to cost plane leasing $304 million. Again, I'll read you a little bit of an excerpt here. Aircraft leasing companies write down the value of aircraft in Russia as Kremlin puts jets out of reach of foreign, I believe that foreign owners is what that says there. Again, so it's looking to increase the leasing costs of airliners. Very interesting, very interesting. Again, if you guys would like to read this report in depth, you can find that over there in the Situation Room. However, this is another post that he posted along with this. And it says, Russia steals 150 planes leased from foreign owners. State-backed airliners are accused of transferring aircraft held hostage since the war in Ukraine began. Very interesting reporting there coming from Phoenix over on the Situation Room. Again, that was posted by the Telegraph, telegraph.co.uk. Kayuka, another post by Kayuka here, says this is not really a report per se, but it is a visual aid to what happened around Kharkiv today. I thought it was nice. So we're going to take a look at this map here. This is kind of an update of what's been happening around Kharkiv. Ukrainian forces report advances along the T21-04 highway east of Kharkiv. Again, Moldova has been recaptured. Again, I believe that is a town or a region there near Kharkiv. Yeah, I believe it's a town called Moldova near Kharkiv, not to be mistaken with the country of Moldova. Again, you can see here on the map, Ukrainian forces report destruction of a Russian logistical convoy near Vesely. May 3rd here as well, Ukrainian electronic warfare units report downing of 2 Russian battlefield UAVs. I bet when we look on live UA map, we'll probably see a few of these posts still active on the live UA map. Yeah, look, here's our drone right here, I bet. Yeah, Russian drones were neutralized by Ukrainian electronic warfare means. Ukrainian forces report 3 Russian BMPs destroyed at Bayrak. Sources report that Ukrainian forces have recaptured Moldova. That's right there. That's that town there. Sources report that Ukrainian forces have entered Stary Saltiv. The west approaches to the T21-04 highway bridge is likely back in Ukrainian hands at this time. You can see the control of those Russian forces here. Again, you got that river that runs right down along the side of Kharkiv here. So it does look like the Ukrainian forces are holding their ground pretty well in that region at this time. Again, quick thank you to Kayuka for posting that map for us in the Situation Room. Lords of Acid. This is a post from Lords of Acid over on the Situation Room. This comes from Anonymous Operations on Twitter. This is labeled Special Combustion Operations Inside Russia. Fires in Russia that are seemingly related to the Russo-Ukrainian war. Very interesting. This is a map of fire. Is this from like NASA Firm's map? Is this what they're speaking of here? So this is an interesting report here. We'll have to take a look at this more in depth. I think this is probably from the beginning of the war. Fires that were reported maybe directly related to the war. Interesting. Our next post comes from Yuroko Izo. This comes from Newsweek. It says NATO has already crossed Vladimir Putin's red line. I'll read you a little bit from this report here. It says Russian President Vladimir Putin has repeatedly warned NATO about interfering in the Ukraine war, even going as far as to bring up retaliation if Ukraine becomes a threat to Russia because of Western help. According to some experts, NATO has already crossed the line that Putin has said would justify an attack from Russian forces. Last week, the Russian leader said during an address to lawmakers that any countries that, quote, create a strategic threat to Russia in Ukraine can expect, quote, retaliatory strikes that would be lightning fast even before Russia begins its attacks on Ukraine on February 24th. Putin made public warnings. Again, I remember covering those on our show actually here. Last November, he said his country would respond if NATO crossed red lines by providing Ukraine with certain missile strike systems. Again, there's been a lot of weapon systems moving into Ukraine here, and I believe if we're about to cross that red line, or if we're going to cross that red line, we're probably almost there already if we haven't already crossed it. Again, very interesting report there, posted by Yuroko Izo. Thank you so much for that report from the Situation Room. Another post here comes from Lords of Acid. This actually comes directly from Live UA Map on Twitter, with the quote that simply says, "What next?" Very interesting here. Again, I would like to take a look. Again, I'm not exactly sure what that is there. Again, when we go through all of our live UA map updates, we'll touch on that. Another one from Lords of Acid, though, here says rumors are swirling in Moscow that foreign generals, such KGB officials, are preparing to oust Russia's President Vladimir Putin to end the war in Ukraine, which is increasingly seen across Russia as a strategic mistake / an economic disaster. This is speculative, I would say. This comes from Anders Aslund on Twitter. Again, a verified Twitter account. However, I would take things like this as speculative. However, very interesting reporting here. Again, saying the Kremlin is on high alert as coup rumors grow in Moscow. Very interesting. Thank you, Lords of Acid, for posting that on the Situation Room. Fancy had actually just sent me a message. He said, I had sent you a Twitter thread about those fires. Those are all from the last 2 weeks. Interesting. I would like to see some individual reporting on some of those fires. Is that them burning documents? Is that what we're looking at there? So, Rat Lady on the Discord actually sent me a PM as well, saying CNN reported this morning, U.S. time, that the group who left Mariupol yesterday at 8 a.m. arrived at Zaporizhia. Total arrived was 106 individuals. Deputy Mayor of Mariupol stated this morning that Mariupol residents are being used for labor, not only to dig the mass graves, but also being made to clear rubble in the street that the Russians caused. Interesting reporting there coming from the Rat Lady. Again, if I can find some more information on that, I'll bring that to you guys here shortly. I see Fancy Hat sending me something again, some further details there. So I'll have to bring you guys those as soon as he sends that over here. One sec, I'm getting caught back up in our situation room. I know we had a few more posts here lined up. This one actually comes from X Demonic X. Talk about transport drones being delivered to Ukraine eventually here. Here's two separate tweets I can bring up that he posted about this topic. Saying the UK will donate Malloy T-150 drones to Ukrainian armed forces, which are capable of delivering heavy equipment to frontline troops. Very interesting equipment there. These drones are capable of lifting hundreds of pounds, I'm pretty sure, of equipment, if I'm not mistaken. Again, here's another post about those drones there in a different language there. Again, really quickly, I'm going to check. So Fancy Hat said, those were fires from possible sabotage or suspicious fires. Chemical factories, the office of an R&D for rocket development. Fire right on the border with Kazakhstan. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that one. I wonder if like maybe some of these were them burning documents as well, but very interesting. Chemical factories, the office of an R&D for rocket development. Were some of those fires also strikes that occurred by the Ukrainians? Kayuka just sent over a thread here about some of the fires on the picture that we saw. Again, thank you, Kayuka, for sending this over here. So it's from May 3rd, 38 trucks burned down in parking lot. This is the city where the missile research facility burned in April. Again, in Russian Tver, 38 trucks burned overnight at a parking lot. Very interesting. Mary here, somebody commented underneath this post saying there was an arms factory burning in Perm, Russia too, except for those incidences near the border. I honestly think it's Russian dissenters setting off fires. It could be. That is possible. It's definitely a going theory here. Again, thank you to everybody that just sent over that those reports there to me and that information. Much appreciated. Our next post here comes from Miss Chris on the Situation Room. Again, this was posted from Live UA Map on Twitter. 15 to 17 dead, dozen injured as a result of a road accident with a bus and a fuel tanker in the Rivne region. Very hard footage there. Very devastating report there. 15 to 17 dead. Dozen injured as a result of that road accident with a bus and a fuel tanker in the Rivne region. Again, not sure if that, I don't think that is directly conflict related. This does look like an accident occurred there. Nonetheless, quite a few individuals did lose their lives there. So, that about concludes tonight's Situation Room reports. Actually, I have a few more here. This one comes from Speed Dial on the Situation Room here. Again, thank you, Speed Dial, for posting this. This is about Austria, Hungary, and Slovakia have withdrawn vetoes on embargo of the EU oil embargo sanctions on Russia. So very interesting report here. Let me get this out of your way. Again, this says big. Austria, Hungary, and Slovakia withdrew their vetoes on Russian oil embargo, so it's almost sure that EU's sixth anti-Russia sanctions package will include the oil embargo. So it does look like that is going to go through and that they have withdrawn their arguments there, their veto there against that oil embargo. Unstinkable sent over this post on the Situation Room as well. This comes from a source named Becca Berry on Twitter. Again, a verified Twitter source saying smoke rising over Lviv after missile attacks this evening. Authorities say several electrical substations have been damaged. There were power cuts in the city. No news yet about any injured or killed. Again, you can see the smoke rising there above that electrical substation that had been damaged from those missile strikes. What we're going to do now is we're going to hop over into our live UA map here. So we can look at some of those individual reports that have come out a little bit more in depth. Fancy, really quickly though, Fancy Hat says, he adds here, that's my take too, but it could be actual Ukraine groups, but internal dissent is just as likely. Since the fires and strikes are happening daily, I'll make something you can use for tomorrow to go over. Roger that. Thank you so much, Fancy Hat. Much appreciated. Yeah, we should start keeping track of not only these fires, but I think on a broader scale, maybe these attacks that are occurring in Russian territory. I think that could be very insightful for us to see that data. Okay, so switching over here to our live UA map, open source map here, we're going to take a look at all of the events that have occurred over the past about 12 to 14 hours here. Okay, I'm going to start here at the 14-hour mark. At least 9 people were killed in Russian attacks today in Donetsk region. Russian aviation conducted airstrikes in central Avdiivka. Again, I reported on that 9 earlier on tonight's report, but here is the direct report and images of some of the damage to those buildings, some of the craters, some of just the absolute devastation from that shelling that occurred there in Donetsk today. Very unfortunate. 9 people lost their lives today in those Russian attacks in the Donetsk region. 14 hours ago, Russian troops shelling central Kharkiv, Poli, and Olesivka. Again, you can see on the map where those strikes were located. 13 hours ago, Russian troops launched ground assault attempt at the Avastol Steelworks factory in Mariopol. Hours of aerial bombardment happened before leading up to those strikes. Again, you can see on the map around Mariopol where those strikes are occurring at the Avastol Steelworks there in the city. 13 hours ago, Russian drone shot down in Dnipro-Petrovsk region. Okay, that's basically a fancy word for the Dnipro Oblast there. You can see pictures here of that Russian Z drone that had been downed in that area. 10 hours ago, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says the U.S. has committed $3.7 billion in military aid to Ukraine since Russia's February 24th full-scale invasion of the country. Along with that, Britain donating 13 armored vehicles to Ukraine to rescue civilians from besieged areas. Quote, targeting of civilians is a war crime per Foreign Secretary Liz Truss, saying this latest donation will help protect Ukrainians attempting to flee Russian shelling. 10 hours ago, Chief of Staff of the U.S. Army says we are witnessing the biggest test for our security and the security of Europe. I believe those words could be true since the since the end of World War II. This is probably the biggest security challenge that the U.S. has faced, that Europe has faced, arguably since the end of World War II. 10 hours ago, Russian troops shelled central districts of Kharkiv. Again, you can see just how many strikes have occurred in those districts in Kharkiv today. Just over the past 12 hours, you can see damage here, absolute devastation in these images here from those strikes that occurred earlier today. Some of those buildings there destroyed. You can see those brave Ukrainian firefighters on the scene there, still putting out the smoldering rubble from those buildings that had been destroyed in Kharkiv. 10 hours ago, we hope at the end of this war, at the end of this, that Ukraine will be a sovereign state with a functioning government that can protect its territory. Again, per Secretary of Defense of the United States made that statement 10 hours ago. 9 hours ago, at least 10 were unfortunately killed, 15 wounded as a result of Russian army shelling at the Avdiivka chemical plant in Ukraine. You can see not too far from Donetsk is where that chemical plant is located. Again, 10 people killed, 15 wounded as a result of those attacks. Tree Shushataro, again, thank you so much for subscribing. Much appreciated. Thank you for tuning in this evening. It means a lot. 8 hours ago, Ukrainian army liberated Moldova village near Stary Saltiv in Kharkiv. Again, I reported on that a short while ago. You could see a image here of that Ukrainian soldier raising the Ukrainian flag above this building here now that they had taken back that area. 8 hours ago, Ukraine is now using U.S.-provided howitzers in the fight against Russia. Again, this comes directly from Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin confirming to Congress. Brianna, thank you so much for subscribing. Much appreciated. And again, thank you for tuning in this evening. Glad to have you on board. 7 hours ago, reports of 2 explosions near Lviv. Again, that was breaking news earlier. I will go into kind of the specifics of that here shortly. Really, the gist of that is multiple explosions happened, 2 explosions to be specific, in Lviv at an electrical substation there, again, knocking out power to some of the area as well. 7 hours ago, explosion near Odessa was reported. You could see a few reports from the past 24 hours in Odessa. 7 hours ago, explosions reported in the Kirovohradaska Oblast. Again, you can see that located here. I believe that's central Ukraine there. There's been many strikes over the past 12 to 24 hours in central Ukraine and in western Ukraine, all right? In some places, within as little as 30 miles from the Polish borders, okay? So 30 miles away from an Article 5. All right, that's the good way to put that there. 7 hours ago, explosions reported, again, in Kirohodavska, that is in central Ukraine there. On the map. 7 hours ago, General Staff of Ukraine says Russian army prepares evacuation of families of officers in Transnistria. Very concerning reports there that, again, possibly indicate that the Transnistrian breakaway region there could be getting involved. In a post here from a Telegram source, again, showing, I believe these are some of those evacuation points on the map there. I will go ahead really quickly and just get you guys a translation here just to confirm. All right. Okay, so units and task forces of the Russian troops continue to be in full combat readiness. This is coming from the Russian Federation, the General Staff of the ZSU. Okay, this quote directly from them saying, units and task forces of the Russian troops continue to be in full combat readiness. The armed forces of the Transnistrian region of the Republic of Moldova are serving in an intensified mode. Preparations are underway to evacuate the families of officers of the Russian troop task force. Again, the general of the staff there in that region had stated. Again, that's a direct translation of this block of text here. You can see on the map there showing some of those posts there, some of those, again, I think this is showing a mix of information here, including not only the evacuations that are underway there, but locations of some of the incidences and events that have occurred there over the past few days and weeks. Again, Transnistria, that region there, has been heating up considerably over the past week or two. 7 hours ago, and again, more explosions in central Ukraine. Explosions reported in the Vinnytsia region, not too far from our breakaway region there in Moldova. Again, you can see the reports on the map located there. 7 hours ago, explosions reported in Kiev region. Possible air defense engagement. Cruise missiles seen overflying in multiple regions of Ukraine. Again, during that 7th hour there, again, 7 hours ago, there was many different strikes that occurred across Ukraine. Per this report saying possible air defense engagement occurred in the Kiev region. Cruise missiles were seen overflying in multiple regions of Ukraine. Again, at that 7 hour ago mark, more 5 big explosions near Lviv. You can see a picture there of the top of that plume there coming up into frame. You can see all of the explosions that have been reported. In fact, we can show you guys just everything that's been reported in Lviv today, okay? You have here, 7 hours ago, 2 explosions in Lviv. 7 hours ago, 5 big explosions in Lviv. 6 hours ago, confirmed an internet disruption has been registered in Lviv, western Ukraine, among reports of explosions and power outages following a Russian missile strike. Real-time network data shows connectivity down to 87% of previous levels. Okay, in fact, right here I can show you the source image there, probably coming from Down Detector or in NetBlock here. Show our net block, so you can see here just the dip there in internet connectivity in that region. Definitely substantial. Again, 87% of previous levels, so there is a good chunk of internet outage occurring there in that area. Again, another report of that here. Issues with water supply in Lviv, says the mayor. This was reported 5 hours ago. Again, this is after those explosions were reported in Lviv there. 7 hours ago, partial blackout in some districts of Lviv. Again, coming directly from the mayor after those electrical substations were hit. 6 hours ago, 3 power stations, so 3 separate power substations were damaged as a result of Russian missile strikes in Lviv, says the head of the regional administration in that zone. Again, here you can see Ukrainian railways, as a result of missile strikes at railway substations, some trains will be delayed. So it's not just electrical substations, but railway substations were also hit in those attacks. Starting here at the 6-hour mark, Ukraine in the vicinity of Bayrak, Kharkiv Oblast, Ukrainian forces claim to destroy 3 BMP IFVs of the Russian army. Again, I reported on that earlier. I should actually be able to show you a video here from Twitter, if it'll load for us here, of the smoke rising from those destroyed BMPs. Again, 3 of them, of those BMP IFVs of the Russian army, were destroyed. Unfortunately, a precise ID is very difficult, again, but it is presumed that those were destroyed there. That comes directly from Ukraine Weapons Tracker, is the source on that report. 6 hours ago, missile strike confirmed in Dolinatska territorial community in the Kirov region. Again, I believe that is in central Ukraine here. You can see where those strikes occurred. Many strikes occurring over the past 12 hours in central Ukraine. Ukrainian military, 6 hours ago here, destroyed Russian supply convoy near the Vesely village in the Kharkiv region. You can see some images and video here of that, of those strikes here. You can see on screen now footage of those fires burning from that convoy that had been hit by those Ukrainian forces in and around Kharkiv. 6 hours ago, missile strike hit infrastructure object in the Transcarpathia region. Again, you can see there also in western Ukraine here. There's a few different areas here as well. 4 hours ago, 57 houses in Volovets without gas supply as a result of a Russian Russian missile strike that occurred in that area. 5 hours ago, issues with the water supply in Lviv, again reported from the mayor there. 5 hours ago, 16 to 17 dead, dozen injured as a result of road accident with a bus and a fuel tanker in Rivne. I reported on that earlier this evening. Not directly related to the conflict, but unfortunately a lot of people lost their lives in that unfortunate road accident that occurred there in the Rivne region. 5 hours ago, a lot of war crimes being committed in Ukraine, says the President of the United States. Continuing to that, 5 hours ago, the worker at this Alabama missile plant make it possible for Ukrainians to have, quote, have a shot. Again, adds the President of the United States. 5 hours ago here, Biden tells workers at a Lockheed Martin facility where Javelin anti-tank missiles are made, quote, you're making it possible for the Ukrainian people to defend themselves without us having to risk getting into a third world war by sending American soldiers. 5 hours ago, there are dead and wounded as a result of a Russian military strike against railway infrastructure in the Kirov region. Again, you can see that located here in central Ukraine on the map. 5 hours ago, more explosions audible in the Odessa region. Again, many explosions there over the past 12 hours as well. 5 hours ago, Russian army shelled the Dynamo Stadium in Kharkiv earlier today. You can see their beautiful track. Their beautiful running track here torn up by what seems to be a Russian shell, which ripped right under it there. Very interesting spalling occurring here from that shell impact. Very unfortunate, though, for those people in Kharkiv, not only to be dealing with this ongoing shelling, but to have some of their favorite residential areas like this continuously bombarded by the Russian military. 5 hours ago, advisor to the office of the president of Ukraine says at first anti-Semitic statements by Moscow, now massive missile strikes on Ukrainian cities: Lviv, Vinnytsia, Kivrogorod, Zakarpattia. Russia must be recognized as a sponsor of terrorism. There is less and less difference between the Kremlin and ISIS, even on a verbal level. 4 hours ago, 2 missile strikes against railway infrastructure in the Kamenansk region, district of the Dnipro-Petrovsk region. One person was unfortunately injured in those strikes there. You can see our source from Twitter here showing the some of the damage there. Again, get this out of the way for you guys. You can see the damage, that crater there left by those strikes there in that region. Dnipro-Petrovsk region. The Dnipro Oblast is basically just the fancy term for the wider Dnipro Oblast. 4 hours ago, missile strike in the Arits of Odessa confirmed by the city mayor. Again, you can see that there on the map. Many strikes, again, have occurred there in Odessa over the past 12 hours. 4 hours ago, the Italian CAEW mission continues. Again, you can see a image, I believe it's of the press release, if I'm not mistaken here, from Twitter. You can see of their flight there. Very interesting reporting. I'll read a little bit from this article. This afternoon at 16:05, an Italian Air Force Gulfstream E550 CAEW left Practisa di Mare AB to carry out a new surveillance mission. The aircraft is now orbiting over eastern Romania. From this area, the aircraft can monitor Moldova with particular attention to the Russian-controlled region of Transnistria, much of the southwestern Ukraine, and western Black Sea. So again, part of that aircraft reporting for this evening, the Italians are running surveillance flights along that Moldovan border. Very, very interesting reporting there coming out of the region. 4 hours ago, in the Kherson region, 1 person was killed and 4 others were injured in the shelling by the Russian troops. Again, located here on the map. Again, that's in the Kherson region there, north of the city of Kherson. 4 hours ago, 57 houses in the Volovets without gas supply, as I reported a few minutes ago. That is in the western Ukraine, due to those missile strikes there. Again, near the Zakarpattia. Again, not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, so thank you for bearing with my lack of pronunciation skills there. But you can see, again, 57 houses are without gas supply as a result of that Russian missile strike. 3 hours ago, Russian TOS-1 strike on Yampil near electric substation. Again, guys, these are those thermobaric weapon systems, okay? This is 3 hours ago, so this is breaking news. Russian use of the TOS-1 thermobaric strike on Yampil near the electric substation there. Let's take a look at the video and the source imagery posted here. I believe from Twitter here, you can see a Russian TOS-1 strike on Yampil near the electric substation. Turn down the images there. Again, this is reported to be use of that thermobaric weapon system, the TOS-1. We can open up the source tweet here. Sorry to all my headphone users there. Again, it's hard to confirm if those are indeed TOS-1, if those are indeed thermobaric warheads. I mean, yeah, they do. You do see some of the incendiary there. Again, it's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. Maybe. What do you guys think? You guys think these are thermobaric rounds being used here? It's for me. It's really hard to tell. I mean, for me, this almost could look like just any incendiary shells being used. But I don't know. I mean, definitely very violent explosions there. Pretty heavy in the fuel department, I would say. I mean, you could tell. I mean, just the amount of fire they're giving off in those blasts. Hard to tell if that is a TOS strike, though. Yeah, somebody says, Nemico, I could see it clear. That's bombing runs. Yeah, I mean, it could be. Some people saying, again, the report saying that it is those TOS-1 thermobaric systems that we're looking at here in this report. Very interesting reporting there. Again, I believe that's our last port for us on, yep, that is our last report from Live UA Map for this evening, as we're most likely waiting on that morning rush here as we come on to dawn in Ukraine in the next few hours. Fancy Hats Repository says, I don't think they're big enough, personally. Yeah, same here. And I didn't see... So with thermobarics, you have that initial explosion which disperses the fuel cloud, and then you have, like a second later, you have a secondary explosion. I didn't really see that there. I didn't see that initial fuel dispersal followed by an incendiary explosion. Dirk says it is TOS explosion. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard to tell with that blurry drone footage if it is or not. It definitely looks pretty incendiary, which kind of points to the fact that it is TOS, that it is TOS. Yeah, again, if so, this is continuing evidence of them using these weapon systems in Ukraine. Again, that concludes tonight's reports for our open source reporting there from our live UA map. I'll now be taking a few questions and comments from the live chat. Really quickly, I'd just like to thank everybody that's tuning in tonight. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Best way to get the algorithm's attention. Fancy Hats Repository says, or just bigger bombs than they have been dropping. Yes, could be. Julia says, can anyone see this word, ... crap? Yes, we can see it, Julia. I don't think YouTube classifies crap as a swear word. But just for those that aren't in the know, YouTube automatically hides any comments that have swear words in them. Nothing we can do about that on our end. Red-Blooded American says, Nemico Network, thank you for your reporting, man. Thank you so much, Red-Blooded American. It absolutely gives me the fizz, man, to have you tuning in to the report this evening. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. 777 Militia says, dear friends, as of Special Forces, or SOF, Territorial Defense Legions of Southeastern East regions of Ukraine. I believe this is a report he sent here. You sent, let me see here. What does that say here? You sent car service, mainly suspension issues, as you have to drive as fast as possible on damaged roads. You sent FAB Defense AK accessories made from polymer to reduce weight and add more functional features. 777 Militia, that's an interesting report, sir. If you could send me over that report, and I'll take a look at that at some point. Stephen Gregory says, any damage reports from use of howitzers? Not yet, but we do know that they are on the battlefield. We have had confirmed reports that they're on the battlefield now, and that they are in use now by those Ukrainian forces on the ground. They're in country. They're being put to good use. Jaso Over says it's too fast. You'll never see the first explosions. I always thought there was like a Mississippi, like almost like a one Mississippi delay between initial fuel dispersal and ignition. I mean, again, I'm not an expert on any type of explosives or anything like that. However, I always thought that with those fuel air bombs, there was kind of like a little bit of a time delay between the initial fuel dispersal and then that explosion after, because the fuel needs to equally disperse. You need like that fuel oxygen mixture to be equally dispersed. Epi says, "Cheers for the report, Nemico." Cheers to you, Epi. I hope you have yourself a wonderful evening or morning, depending on what time it is there in Scotland. Miss Chris says, "Good reports." Well, thank you so much, Miss Chris, for tuning in tonight. Not Pocky says, "What ship is on fire? Is the Black Sea?" Oh, actually, so one more thing, guys, before we end tonight's report, and I want to get a little bit more in depth on this evening, but we're gonna save it for tomorrow's reports. We'll go a little bit more in depth on that tomorrow. But I did want to just take a quick look this evening. We talked about that Italian aircraft, which is now patrolling uh, Moldovan airspace here along that border. Currently, we have a few most tracked flights up in the air. I could already see we have a drone here. Uh, yeah, a camcopter. This is probably the same S-100 camcopter I was tracking last month. Right off the shore here, same launch point and everything. Very interesting. I'm pretty sure that's running surveillance as well, if I was to guess. And so this is number one worldwide tracked right now is that camcopter over the Black Sea. We have a commercial flight here coming Panama City to San Jose. Interesting that is even being tracked at this hour. RRR, I believe this is Royal Air Force here. Yep, Royal Air Force, RRR 9837. KC-2 Voyager currently hanging out over Bulgaria. Looks like it was doing a little bit of a patrol over somewhere near Bucharest here earlier today, not too far from where our camcopter is now over Romania. Very interesting. Again, tomorrow we'll be going fully in depth on not only the aircraft activity, but the naval radar activity and also some of the cyber analysis. I just ran out of time for it this evening to go into as much in depth as I want to. So again, we'll be doing that tomorrow. I'll definitely make sure to go into that. We'll get caught up on what's been going on in the skies and on the water there in Ukraine. Kanan says, "Nemico, I sent you the article from former General Mark Hertling to pass along. Quote, I commanded U.S. Army Europe. Here's what I saw in the Russian-Ukrainian armies." I believe, yeah, I got that article from you. I'll be taking a look at that. I believe I also posted that in the Situation Room yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, or the other day when you first sent that over. Dirk Matthews says, "Check the Situation Room for propaganda TOS video. Seems pretty similar to what we just saw." Is it the RT one that we've seen? If it's the RT one, I'm pretty sure we've showed that on the show before. Again, yeah, it's pretty hard to confirm if those are TOS1A or sorry TOS1, if those are thermobarics. If they are, we'll probably know by tomorrow though. Just Me says, "Nemico, what do you think will happen Monday, the 9th? I also heard someone mention the 4th. What's the 4th about?" Well, the 4th isn't necessarily significant. The 9th, however, is the Russian Victory Day, which is significant in that they could, try to push to announce a victory that day. Or what's more likely now is that they'll officially acknowledge the fact that they are at war with Ukraine instead of just calling it the special military operation in hopes to further mobilize the Russian people, okay, uh, to do things like issue conscripts, drafts, etc. Looking at some of the reports you guys sent over, May the 4th is a Star Wars thing. May the 4th be with you. Yeah, well, yeah, of course, May the 4th, yeah, the Star Wars reference, but I think they meant something with Russia there as well. May 9th, though, is the Victory Day. They celebrate victory, their World War II victory that day, usually with a pretty big military parade. Again, to everybody that sent over reports or PMs tonight, thank you to everybody that provided, that contributed to that reporting. Both over on the Situation Room and to everybody that sent over PMs as well. To all of you guys, it's because of you that this is possible, that we're able to bring you guys this reporting, and be able to bring you guys this news. If you haven't already, guys, hit the subscribe button. Best way to get notified when new streams or new videos go live. If you haven't already, hit the like button. Best way to get the algorithm's attention. You can now support us on Patreon. There's also the Nemico channel memberships, which we are in the middle of getting set up. You can join over there on the channel to get access to our members-only content and early access to all new videos and posts, including Ukraine war reports as well. We'll be providing early access to some of that content before it's live to the masses over there. However, all of the same reports and all of the same videos that we've always been doing, the same schedules will be kept as well. If you're looking for any of these sources to any of our reports that we use tonight, any of our sources like Live UA Map, Flight Radar, etc., you can find all those links in the description below. Not only this stream, but if you're watching this as a video, as we do upload every single report after it's live to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Nemico Network for those that miss it. But again, you can find all of those links in the description below. You can find links where you can donate to Ukraine to help support Ukraine. You can find links to our merch store, where we are currently hosting a fundraiser there for Ukraine. You can also find links where you can support the channel and what we're doing here with our reporting. As well as a link to our Discord server where you can join in on our community discussion. Not just the discussions over there, but if you want the best place by far on the internet to get up-to-date, real-time reporting on what's going on with this conflict, not just in Ukraine, but on a broader scale as well, I would say the best places to do that are in our Discord server, primarily in the Situation Room. Also, the voice chat is an excellent resource. If you want up-to-date, if you want to stay immediately up to date into what's going on, best place to do that by far is our Discord server over at discord.gg/Nemico. Again, guys, we have new reports every night, weekdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 3 a.m. Ukraine time. Okay, weekdays every night. During the daytime, I come on randomly. I'll announce in the Discord server when I'm doing all-day reports. I come on, hang out for a few hours, sometimes even all day. We hang out here. We go into depth on stuff. We look at cameras, we look into reports, hoping to get a lot of that in with you guys in the coming weeks here. Also, really excited to be bringing you guys a whole bunch of new video content coming up soon. Not just Ukraine-related stuff, but we have other stuff coming down the pipeline as well. Keeping in mind, our channel's not just about Ukraine and reporting, but we are, a multi-channel network. There's a lot of different content we're bringing you guys, and so I'm really pumped to be bringing you some of that stuff coming down the pipeline in the future. Again, to everybody that sent over PMs tonight, to everybody that sent over intel reports, to everybody that contributed in any way, to everybody that subscribed, followed, shared the stream, all of you guys, again, it's because of you that this is possible. Every single one of you deserves a huge round of applause. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the reports tonight. Until next time, guys, you have been watching the Nemico Network.
Something that will change our daily lives, that will change history, 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 that will change history. That will be the most beautiful day.